was the Ark of the Covenant made of? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Exodus on Walking Through the Bible.
Honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, turn to Exodus 37. We're going to be reading from verses 1 to 9. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Exodus 37, beginning of verse 1. Then Bezalel made the Ark of Acacia Wood. 2.5 cubits was its length, and 1.5 cubits its width, and 1.5 cubits its height. He overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside, and made a molding of gold all around it. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set in its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side of it. He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. And he put the poles into the rings at the side of the ark to bear the ark. He also made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2.5 cubits was its length, and 1.5 cubits its width. He made 2 cherubim of beaten gold. He made them of one piece at the 2 ends of the mercy seat, 1 cherub at one end on this side, and the other cherub at the other end on that side. He made the cherubim at 2 ends of one piece with the mercy seat. The cherubim spread out their wings above and covered the mercy seat with their wings. They faced one another. The faces of the cherubim were towards the mercy seat. In this section of Exodus, we have the children of Israel actually making the tabernacle, following the instructions that we read of earlier in the book. As we said in previous episodes, we're going to review what we learned from chapters 25 through 31 following the readings of each section. In our last 3 episodes, we had the gifted artisans beginning to make the tabernacle, its structure, and its curtains. The instructions we read of today were found in chapter 25, lessons 94 and 95 in this series. From verse 1, we find that Bezalel was tasked with making the ark. The Ark of the Testimony, sometimes referred to as the Ark of the Covenant, is simply a box. Like the wood for the tabernacle, it was to be made of acacia wood. It was to be 2.5 cubits in length, 1.5 cubits in width, and 1.5 cubits in height. A cubit is about 45.72 centimeters, or 1.5 feet, so the Ark of the Covenant was to measure 114.3 centimeters by 68.58 centimeters by 68.58 centimeters, or 3.57 feet by 2.25 feet by 2.25 feet. If you can picture this in your mind, this wasn't a small box, but it also wasn't an overly large box either, for it was able to be carried about. Once the box was put together according to the proper dimensions, it was overlaid with pure gold inside and out, and a molding of gold was made all around it. Pure gold means that the gold wasn't to be a mixture of gold and something else. God wanted nothing less than pure gold for something that would be part of the holy sanctuary. On each of the 4 corners of the ark, there was placed a gold ring. The rings were made so that poles could be passed through them and the ark carried. The poles to carry the ark were made of acacia wood that were overlaid with gold. No length for the poles was given, but by implication, the poles must have been long enough so that the ark could have been carried on men's shoulders without them having to touch the ark, but not too long, otherwise the weight of the ark would snap the poles. So if the ark was almost 4 feet long, the poles must have been longer than that. Inside the ark was to be placed the testimony or covenant that God would give Moses, hence the name, the Ark of the Covenant. The last thing that needed to be made for the ark was a lid. What we have translated as mercy seat comes from a Hebrew word that means lid. If this word means lid and doesn't resemble a seat per se, why is it then called the mercy seat? Well, the mercy seat is going to be the place that God meets with Moses and speaks to him, and it would also be the place where God would meet the high priest in the atonement service for the congregation once per year. So this mercy seat would not only be a physical covering for the ark, but it would also serve as the figurative or symbolic covering of sin on the Day of Atonement, a covering made possible by the mercy of God. As for its design, the mercy seat was not made of acacia wood overlaid with gold. It was made of pure gold, for this is where God would be present. The measurements of the mercy seat would be the same length and width of the ark itself. On each end of the mercy seat was made 1 cherub, cherubim being the plural of cherub. A cherub would have been a winged creature, probably similar to an angelic being, though seemingly distinct in class. From the language used in the chapter, it appears that the mercy seat and the cherubim were constructed out of one piece of gold instead of fashioning each cherub and then attaching it to the mercy seat. What significance this holds, if any, I'm unsure of, except to say that it is what God commanded. The cherubim faced one another and stretched out their wings to cover the mercy seat. God was not going to approach Moses or the high priest uncovered, for his presence is much too holy and much too glorious for man to behold as a sinful creature. So these cherubim covering the mercy seat would be one of the symbols of the covering of God from man. Once the mercy seat was made, it was placed on top of the ark. With that, our time is up today, Lord willing. We hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Exodus chapter 37, verses 10 to 16, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.
Of his cross.